This is akhir zaman, Islamic eschatology. And at the heart of that which explains the world today, its political reality, its economic reality, its military reality, is the subject of the Messiah, al-Masih, that the Messiah will return. And so this lecture also requires very careful attention. Before we begin, there are some preliminary things to be done, and that is that the Quran declares of itself that it is al-haqqul yaqeen, absolute truth. Absolute truth is located in this book, not in the newspapers, not on television, not on the radio, in this book. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks in this book, sometimes He speaks in a manner which is plain and clear. And these are called ayat muhkamat. But sometimes He speaks in language which has to be interpreted. And He says about them that even though you make the best effort to interpret them, and you must do that, only He can confirm that an interpretation is correct. So you do not use ayat mutashabihat to divide up people. There's no boxing match involved in ayat mutashabihat. You give your view, your interpretation, and that's it. But ayat muhkamat, when something is said plain and clear, if you do not accept it, even after it is explained to you, you reject it, then that is an act of kufr. With this preliminary statement, now let us turn to Nabi Isa alaihi sallam. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teach him the Quran? Twice in the Quran, twice we are told. The first time, it's the fail modariya, which is present and future. وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابِ, and Allah will teach him the kitab. وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and Allah will give him wisdom. وَالتَّوْرَاةَ وَالْإِنْجِيلَ, and Allah will teach him the Torah and teach him the Gospel. And then in Surah Al-Ma'idah, إِذْ عَلَّمْتُكَ الْكِتَابِ, Allah is now speaking on Judgment Day, speaking to Nabi Isa alayhi salam and saying to him, did I not teach you the Quran, the kitab? Wal-hikmah, and did I not give you wisdom? Wat-Tawrat wal-Injil, and did I not teach you the Torah and the Gospel? Two verses in the Quran. The first comment, why does Allah say kitab and not identify kitab? Answer, this is the divine wisdom at work, forcing you to do your homework. To identify the kitab, you have to go to the rest of the book. And when you go to the rest of the book, you find very quickly at the beginning of Surah Al-Imran that we sent down the kitab on you, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and we sent down the Torah and we sent down the Gospel before. And so it's very clear that kitab here is the Quran. But notice the divine wisdom, that he forces you to think. He forces you to go to the rest of the book to search for the answer. This is the divine wisdom at work. And so now the question arises, why did he teach him the Quran? In the previous lecture we gave the answer that this makes sense only in the context of his returning. This is one of the proofs. But today, we now have to go further into the subject. If he taught him the Quran, and he taught him the Torah and the Gospel, and he taught him and he gave him wisdom in between, the implication is that he'll need this knowledge and he'll need this knowledge. The reason for that is because he will have his ummah who will still be following the Torah and the Gospel, and he'll have this ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, which is following the Quran. And he would be the supreme guide of both the ummahs and the supreme legal authority of both the ummahs, particularly when a matter arises connecting both the ummahs. And that's why he has to have wisdom.